Hello everyone. In my last video, we talked about how motivation isn't that common in your life. It is inconsistent, it shows up randomly, it's not something you can plan or execute in a way that is going to give you what you want, like discipline will. However, there is one thing that I did not mention in that video, which I'm going to mention in this one. There are two main things, in my opinion, that will give you the best chances of success in whatever it is you choose to pursue, whether it be school, work life, personal skill development, whatever it may be. This is quality of your work. The first one is consistency, the second one is quality. Now, why is quality so important? So in terms of quality, or in terms of achieving your goals, you have to be consistent. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no ways around it. There's no shortcuts. People love to think like, oh, learn this crazy new trick, and oh my god, you can skip past all the shit. You can skip past all of the work required to get to where you want to be. The simple fact of the matter is this just is not true. When you compare a new individual, someone who is brand new in whatever space, take programming for example. This person is not going to be at the level of a senior developer or programmer in a couple of months. That's just not going to happen. All these things about like learn this programming language in 1 week or blah blah blah, it's not happening. You can establish a baseline, you can get decently good, maybe competent, but you're not going to have the depth of knowledge and the experience that they have. And it comes to this main idea, and that is similar to the discipline issue and motivation. People seem to think that you're going to enjoy whatever it is you're doing all the time. That's just not going to happen all the time. Once again, I know I repeated myself, but it's incredibly important. You have to understand that any difficult thing, especially learning a difficult thing and trying to improve on what already difficult thing, is going to cause you a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, a lot of frustration. And the single point that people miss is you have to accept that failure is inevitable. It is not something you can avoid. Yes, everyone hates failure, fears failure, understands what it is and how it affects them. This is normal. That is a normal response. You are not supposed to like failure. But the difference between you and an expert, or someone who is where you want to be, is they have failed and learned from their failure. That's the difference. When you have someone who is competent, who has done what they needed to do, the difference between them and you is they have done the exact same things that you have done, but they've done way more of it. They've failed way more than you have, but they learn from their failure. That is the key to this. You can't keep making the same mistakes over and over and over and not learning from them, because you'll just stagnate. You'll just stay in the same spot. Now, yes, if you're consistent and you're just doing the same thing over and over, you will learn eventually at a snail's pace. You will gain a little bit of insight over time, maybe learn this and maybe learn that. But the importance of learning and the importance of putting an effort and conscious effort is you can actually not skip, this is the important part, accelerate your progress. That is the key here. Learning is essentially like turning the ramp up into like a step ladder up, where you have these big jumps. Again, you're not skipping in a sense, but you are drastically improving the rate at which you're succeeding, or the rate at which you're learning and accumulating knowledge. But as is the similar case with discipline, you need to be consistent with your learning, because if you're not only will you stagnate, you will start to regress. It is very difficult, and this is why so many people fail. You can't expect to get very far if your whole goal is to just be happy the whole time. If I could just be happy the whole time, I would be able to do anything. Yeah, no shit. Sorry. But the reality is, in real life, your primary goal shouldn't necessarily be happy. What it should be is contentness, right? Yes, there will be moments where you're going to be happy, where you're fulfilled and you're happy, you're satisfied with where you're at, you're proud of the job that you've done. But these are, once again, they are fleeting, they are temporary. It's much better to have a job or a passion or whatever it is that you're content with. You don't feel terrible doing, so you don't feel like all this is miserable, but at the same time, you know, you have to accept that you're just not going to be happy all the time. Again, completely normal. So what would I recommend? What would I say? How would I go about doing it? And this applies to basically anything. Now, of course, I can't give you all the answers. I don't know everything, but there is a general baseline and a general plan that I would institute to gain skills. The first thing you want to do, and this one I'm going to mention because it's probably the most important thing, stick to one thing at a time. I understand that you're probably thinking to yourself, oh, I like all this other stuff. I want to do this. I want to do that, blah, blah, blah. The problem is you're going to be splitting your time and energy on a bunch of different shit. You're going to be forgetting one thing. You're probably going to get burnt out. You're going to take on on way too much, and you're going to stop doing it. And that's the thing. It's essentially like a tool set, right? You are learning how to utilize tools to do whatever it is that tool is making you do. You want to learn this tool one at a time. I can't stress enough how important it is to pick one tool at a time, unless it is absolutely necessary to get another one. For example, imagine you want to mow your lawn and you go to the store and you get a lawnmower, you get a sawzall, you get an axe, you get all this other bullshit, and you have no idea how to use any of it. And then you're like, well, I can't do it because I didn't learn 50 different things all at the same time. That's dumb. What tends to happen, people take on way too much and then they get burnt out. They think that this is just way too much, it's overwhelming. It is much better to hit a wall because you have reached the limit of that tool than it would be to try and scatterbrain and like scattershot and get everything, like 50 different things all at the same time. So that's the first point. The second point is, you have to be consistent. Whatever that is for you, whether it be 5 hours a week, 10 hours a week, more, it is up to you. I can't tell you what that is. Of course, the more you do, the more results you get up to a certain point. Again, I'm not saying to go 100 hours. That's not a good idea. But you also need to be consistent for a long time. This is another important point. Months, a year, preferably. The longer you go, the more consistent you are, the more results you will get. Once again, it's going to be different from person to person. You can compare yourself to other people. You can say they do it better, they got better results, so this or that or this other thing. It doesn't matter what you pick. The baseline and the trajectory and the process is essentially the same. So wherever you decide to go, it's going to be roughly the same. You have to be consistent. You have to have a plan. You have to have goals that you can look back at and say, I reached or I didn't. And then why not? Or what happened? Did I do good because of this or that or what this other thing? The third point I will bring up, get a mentor if possible. Mentors are going to help you a lot. You're probably thinking to yourself, well, how am I going to know what to do? Mentors know what to do because they've done all the things that you're trying to do. Preferably someone who has good communication skills, can tell you where you're going wrong in a way that is constructive and not demeaning, in something that you can understand. This could be a coworker, it could be your boss, it could be a teacher, it could be people on the internet. The thing is, and this is another important point that I cannot stress enough, most people don't have the discipline to force themselves to do something for that long with no clear benefit in sight. The mentors will be able to direct you on the right path. Because again, just saying to learn is not going to be very useful if you have no idea what you're learning or what you should be learning. That is why school is very important. That's why having a boss in a field, in a mentor, is extremely important. The fourth thing, and this one is probably going to be hard for most people, including myself, pretty much anybody, be honest with yourself. I know this is going to sound like, oh yeah, I'm blah blah blah, like I'm dumb, I can't do this, blah blah blah, whatever, all these stupid excuses. When I say you need to be honest, I'm saying be specific. Be honest, be specific. If you didn't reach a goal, why didn't you reach it? Were you lazy? Did you stray? Did you stick to the schedule? Are you learning what you should be doing? Are you going too fast? Are you not going fast enough? It is extremely difficult. This is probably one of the biggest cruxes. So sticking to a schedule and being honest, because there are a lot of people who can just do. They go on for days, weeks, months, years, but they still don't make much progress because they're not being honest with themselves and they're not telling themselves, why am I failing? Why am I not making progress? What is happening? It is not good enough to just tell yourself, oh, I'm just not good at this. It's like, well, no shit, you're not good at it. You haven't put in the effort to be good at it. That's just kind of how it works. Yes, there's going to be people who are just genius talent sometimes, but that is extremely rare. Overwhelmingly, it is time put in. That is what is going to differentiate you from another person. And don't forget conscious effort. The amount of effort you put in along with your ability to recognize your faults, which again, a mentor is a fantastic person who can just see directly what you're doing wrong and can tell you because they've done it, they've been there. The last thing I'll say, you have to stick with it for a while. To establish a habit, you must do something even when you don't want to do it. Once again, it is going to be very easy to tell yourself, this is stupid. What am I doing? Especially with creative type stuff. So like YouTube or Twitch or TikTok, whatever, it is super easy to just say, why the hell am I doing it? What is the point? Why am I wasting my time? Nobody's watching, nobody cares, I'm not very good at it. And guess what? You will be right. But your goal is to prove yourself wrong. That's what you want to do. If you're like me and have gone your whole life making stupid excuses, saying this or that, you can't do it, you're not even gonna like it when you get it, you're not gonna know what you're doing, blah blah blah, it's not gonna be the way you want. You want to get to a point where you can look back and you can have the confidence and the experience and the tool set and knowledge base to do whatever it is that you want to do. And the best part is, once you learn learn that process, you can apply it to basically anything. And you can gain the knowledge and skills necessary for pretty much anything. I promise if you stick to something consistently, you learn consistently, you will achieve significant success.